Hello, everybody. Okay, let's talk about the thing that is just a constant source of debate. I see so many arguments about it in Facebook groups, online. It's a constant source of debate that I really personally don't feel that it needs to be there because there is a middle ground. And that is dyslexia a disability or is it a gift? And what if it's both? So, what if we could have the best of both worlds and recognize that dyslexics are like everyone else and there are strengths and weaknesses? And let me put this into perspective. So, if we can take a perspective where we nurture their areas of genius which they clearly have that are different than other neurotypical kids, we know this, I'm going to get into that in a minute, and support them in the ways that they are having difficulty, then we really don't need to put, again, labels on people. We really just can accept them for who they are and what they are without trying to change or fix them or anything like that. Because in either instance, this can be really detrimental. It can be really detrimental when we start saying that a dyslexic person has a disability, is broken, and so forth. And likewise, it can be really detrimental and frustrating for dyslexic people. I've spoken to many dyslexic adults who actually find it quite minimizing to say that it's a gift when they're like, I could not read. I felt stupid my entire life. I suffered with such debilitating self-esteem. It affected my choices. It affected, my job, my career options, and so forth. And it was not for them. They're like, it was not a gift in many ways. So I think it's important to acknowledge both sides of this experience that so many people go through. And it's definitely certain that dyslexics are brilliant in ways that a lot of other people are not, or neurotypical people are not. So, one of the reasons for this is that they have an overdevelopment of the right side of their brain. This is totally different. It's not the same thing as being right brain dominant or being left brain dominant. We all have a little bit, one side or the other. If we're neurotypical, this is like, much more developed, like overdeveloped compared to, say, a right brain dominant person. And so what happens is there's a certain areas where these people tend to excel in areas of where the right brain specializes. So let me kind of make a little bit more sense with that. So if you are right brain overdeveloped, a lot of the talents or gifts that these people are going to have, or strengths, is they tend to be really mechanically minded. They tend to be very artistic. They have this incredible 3D vision. I know a lot of dyslexics who literally are mechanics, or they fix cars in some form or another, or they are millwrights, or they are artists, or they are architects. So they have this incredible just visual system that's highly developed, and that's because the visual cortex is on the right side of the brain. They can be really athletic because of the gross motor skills being a right brain skill, and they tend to be really good problem solvers. They're big picture, they think outside the box, they're creative, they're imaginative, they're empathic. If they can get over their kind of hyper awareness, which is a very right brain skill, they can be very social because they're very in tune with people's feelings. They're just, there's all of these amazing strengths and skills. Let me know in the comments, does this sound like your child? Is this something that are these skills that your child is really good at? So this is the thing. These are their strengths because they have this right brain overdevelopment. These are their zones of genius that some of us wish we could have. And by the same token, they have these areas of weaknesses. And the big thing that I see with dyslexia is that instead of recognizing there's a right brain overdevelopment and there's a left brain, what we call deficiency or weakness, we say, okay, this is how their brain is, and we just need to find teaching strategies that cater to that. And, and some of them are fine. I'm not totally knocking them, but there's also another approach which isn't as laborious. So approaches that we use that really just say, okay, they're right brain overdeveloped. Let's, do OG. Let's do right brain learning, all these other sensory motor types of learning. And again, none of these are bad, but we can approach it in a way that we develop that side of the brain that's weak so that it's not always a compensation and that their years of schooling isn't so intensive and rigorous and laborious. So, what it really boils down to is that because the right side of the brain is so overdeveloped, it's really doing a lot of the work. And the result of that is that these kids are reading from the right side of the brain. And when we read from the right side of the brain, that's where we all start off, we're reading on manual instead of automatic. And that is going to be very slow. That is going to be very laborious and really just have an impact on our overall experience in school and learning and reading and so forth. When people are neurotypical, like fluent readers, they read from the left side of the brain because that is where the language center is. And what they found is that in dyslexics, the left side of the brain had significantly less connections and neural activity or electrical activity compared to neurotypical people. So, really, what that boils down to is the left side of the brain is not working as hard. The human brain, the left and right side of the human brain has very specialized tasks. So, what happens is that the right side is compensating, it's doing all of the work or more of the work, most of the work, whatever you want to say. The left side of the brain is kind of slacking off. And this is where you're going to have these areas of weaknesses. But because the right side of the brain is so overdeveloped and has been doing all this work, it will also have these zones of genius. So basically, we have both the best of both worlds. We have disabilities as well as these gifts or zones of genius. And so reading and learning, because it's more of a left brain skills that are involved with all of those aspects, that this is where these kids are going to struggle. And you have really two options. You can stay with this old thinking that the brain is fixed, that it doesn't change, that it's not plastic, which really science has shown in the last several decades, even since the 50s, that the brain is extremely plastic. It truly can change. And if we just strengthen and stimulate that left side of the brain, particularly the area that's responsible for areas where they're struggling, such as the language center, then we can maintain these zones of genius. They are not going to change. People ask me that all the time. They say, is my child going to lose their gifts? I don't want to change them. I don't want to fix them. They're not broken. And I absolutely agree. These methods do not change or fix your child. Those connections on the right side of the brain are developed. They're there. They're superhighway connections, as I like to call them. They're not going anywhere. But basically, what we can do is strengthen and stimulate the left side of the brain, those connections, so that basically we are not fixing your child because they're not broken. We're just helping them to live their best life. And when kids can read fluently and learn easily, then all of a sudden their self-esteem goes up. They are more likely to take risks, calculated risks. They're more likely to try stuff that they wouldn't normally try, and basically, excel in areas that they were previously struggling. And this will ultimately help them to get to their full potential. So what I'm going to be talking about on Friday is the weak connections that are involved with dyslexia and many reading disorders as well, and how to identify them, because the first step is identifying these connections. So this isn't about, again, changing, fixing, or seeing someone as broken, but just addressing where the area of struggle is so that life can be a whole lot easier and these kids don't have to work so hard to read or to learn. So let me know in the comments below, what is your child's area of genius? What is their, strengths, and where are they struggling? And did some of these descriptions in terms of both areas where they struggle and areas where they are strong, does it resonate? Tell me what you are seeing in your child. So thanks for watching, everyone. As always, like, share, tag, and be sure to join me on Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern, in my Facebook group, Building Better Brains, where I will be talking all about these weak connections and how to identify them. Have a great day.